you know the NFL season is officially back underway once we get our first tie of the season. Jake, we've finally done it. What are your thoughts?
Yeah, I know over almost 200 games have been played, and I just haven't felt like football is actually back until there's been a tie. Almost 200 games have been played, but that tie, you need that tie. Yeah, okay, whatever, math whiz.
Yeah, no, not quite, but we're more than three-quarters of the way there now. At least we should be. Buys actually may make it a little blow. But with that being said, the Lions and the Steelers tied, which is absolutely amazing. Just love the weather of that game and everything that was going on with it. But obviously, this is our recap for the week. So we need to start with the Ravens and Dolphins last Thursday night. And boy, does that feel like decades ago now.
Yeah, that game just felt like neither team wanted to win. Uh, and I feel like you could say that for a lot of games this week where just neither team wanted to win it. Uh, and one team had to win it, and usually it was the team that we didn't pick because I feel like going into this week we agreed on a decent amount, but the team that shouldn't have won it is the one that ends up winning it. And that was true in this case with the Dolphins beating the Ravens. And I did say that the only way the Ravens can lose this is if Lamar's looking ahead to his number getting retired in Louisville. Maybe I was right about that. Maybe I was right about that. Uh, yeah, no, it was a really ugly game. Tua, though his team won, still looked bad. I'm still waiting for the Tua coming out game, and there are some people saying that it was that game. Tua looked horrible in that game, but I just love NFL fans because it's if you win, everyone on your team looks good. No one looks bad if your team wins, but it's very possible for Tua to still look horrible and the team to win. But he played all right for being hurt enough to still be the backup, which I don't understand that at all. But he's back being the starter now. It's a big mess.
I feel like I've been pretty fair about judging QBs like Tua in recent years in terms of okay, like yeah, you're winning but you're not playing well. Obviously, they haven't been winning much this year, but they did win again this week, and that's the important thing. But yeah, we want to talk about like actually advancing the team to be at a better place. The only time like I actually remember in my life like just completely buying into a guy who's obviously not like the best answer at the quarterback position is Tim Tebow because I mean it was way too fun not to. But since then I feel like I've been pretty reasonable about it, and yeah, no, I still don't see it with Tua. I'm just really interested to see how this is gonna be for the Ravens going forward. To see if everybody continuously plays like the Dolphins did against them with those heavy blitzes and stuff,
Hmm.
and just see how they react and can figure it out. I mean, they're actually kind of lucky because I guarantee there will be some team later this season who gets figured out by like week 15 or 16 or something. And then the last 3 weeks of the season, we just see them kind of like go off the rails. But week 10 to have your weakness pointed out, that still gives them basically what would be, in terms of last year, like half a season's time to figure it out. So
Hmm.
um, I don't think the Ravens are in too bad of a situation here. But if this strategy works against them, the one big thing that could come away from this is the fact that they may start to like slide a little bit down the scale, just in terms of playoff seeding. I still would probably say they're my favorite in the AFC North,
Hmm.
but that's what I think could be the overarching thing. And then once again, basically every team in the NFC has had, or sorry, the AFC has had like some sort of garbage loss this year. So this is the Ravens' garbage loss of the season. Let's just hope for the Ravens' sake that they don't like keep compounding this.
Yeah, Brian Flores had a great game plan going into that. They just sold out to stop the run, and it worked. Lamar's going to need a lot of help from his receivers, though, if they want to fix that. If teams keep coming at him with that, because Rashad Bateman looked okay. Sammy Watkins, uh, uh, get Tylan Wallace more involved. That's my key takeaway. I saw him like play special teams, but he was never out there. Tylan Wallace is a steal, and you have him playing special teams. I hate that.
Eh, we'll see. We'll see what they do. Um, then, oh man, love talking about this team. Love talking about both these teams. Saints at Titans.
Yeah, I can't remember who said it on Twitter, but I saw it on Twitter, and someone said that the Titans are like that guy that just started playing fantasy football, and you don't know how he's like winning all these games, but they're close, and he just keeps pulling them out week after week, and he's like stringing them all together, going on a run. That's what the Titans feel like right now, because every week going into it, it's like they could lose this. Like they are lacking a lot of talent, and I feel like if Alvin Kamara is out there for the Saints, they lose that game because Mark Ingram went off in that game for the Saints, just for them to lose. But he put up numbers. He's also the Saints' franchise leading rusher now, so that's cool to accomplish only 2 weeks with the team. Become the
Yeah.
become the franchise's leading rusher. But I think if Alvin Kamara's there, Saints might be able to pull it up, but the Titans are doing it, man. AJ Brown had a bad game too, and they're just pulling it out. I don't know. Maybe we need to credit the talent on that roster more. But
No.
It's
No.
like
It's
the defense.
no.
The defense is doing it for him. It's the defense and
No.
like Ryan Tannehill making like 3 plays a game.
No.
That's usually what it's been.
No.
What do you think it is?
No,
Deontay Foreman?
no, they apparently they just have the best coach in the NFL, and somehow we just can't understand that. That's it. It's just he's the best coach in the NFL. He's the best coach in the NFL, and it doesn't make any sense, but he is, and we just have to accept that. The sooner we accept that, the better, because they're gonna keep winning games that make no sense. And even if it comes at the expense of like the other team being misfortunate in the fact that the Saints lose by 2 while missing 2 extra points, they're still the winners. They still keep winning games, and I mean that's the goal every week, right? I said that that's the important thing a few weeks back now, and that's what they keep doing. So I don't know now if AJ Brown isn't going off, like you said, Tannehill, Jeffrey Simmons, Kevin Byard. It's really not a ton of guys that are overly impressive with them. They just have some of the best team play in the NFL without having, even when their standout guys are out.
Yeah, I can't accept that Mike Vrabel's he has the best staff around him. I don't know if I'm there yet to say he's the best coach.
How many
right
guys
now.
can you name on his staff?
Jim Schwartz. That's it.
So in other words, Jim Schwartz is the best coach in professional football.
He's one of the best defensive coordinators I've ever seen.
I mean, I also like what's his last name? Greg Williams? Yeah. I'm a big fan of him.
Yeah.
I am.
Big fan of first overall picks.
I am. I like him. Bills at Jets.
The Bills got their bounce back game. Just gotta hope that they don't have any more losses, and they might be able to get the 1 seed in the AFC. But that's a tall order, especially with the schedule that they got coming up. But yeah, just tore apart Mike White, and then played crappy defense for the Joe Flacco drive, so he could be anointed the starting QB going into next week. Which, lovely. I love to see some Joe Flacco, but Mike
But that's
White.
next week's prediction.
Yeah. Mike White proved why he was not taken first overall, even though he believes he should have been. The Bills defense showing why they're one of the best units in the league. Josh Allen bounced back. They realized, hey, Stephon Diggs is on our team. We could just throw it to him every play and usually find success with that. They got pre-snap motion going on, got the running game going kind of, sort of. Got a dynamic running back and Matt Breida involved. It's nice. It's nice to see the Bills doing something smart that they haven't done since like week 3. They just forgot how to run their offense like they ran it all of last year for 7 weeks. They're back. Hopefully it stays that way.
Yeah, it was against the Jets. I don't know if they're back.
No, yeah, that's why I'm not excited about it. It was against the Jets.
I mean, we'll see. I don't know. They moved the ball. That's what I'm happy with. Uh, the Jets looked like the Jets have most of the season, so defense still looks good for the Bills. Yeah, okay. I'll wait for the Colts game next week for more Bills input to see if they're actually gonna play with a decent team.
Hmm.
Uh, Lions at Steelers.
I wasn't fully wrong about this one, and you clowned me for it. Granted, either way, what team I pick, I'm getting clowned for it, or I'm getting 50% right on it because it was a tie. But I picked the Lions to upset them, and in a way, if I'm a Steelers fan, I'm more upset tying with the Lions than I am losing to them. So I'd say it's even a better upset. But yeah, crappy weather, crappy team in Detroit, a team that I can't call Pittsburgh crappy. I can't call them crappy, but they're not good.
Why can't you
Uh
call them crappy?
be- because
It's funny. That's funny. You
they're
hate them all year, and I don't
because
necessarily hate them,
because
but like I
they have the
still feel fine calling them a crappy team.
they have the win total, and with how close the AFC, like I understand crappy teams can't get into the playoff. But I just don't feel like I think they have the same amount of
No,
wins as
I
the
watch
Chargers.
them play, and I'm like, this is a crappy team.
Okay, yeah, fine. Their Steelers are a crappy team. It's two crappy teams playing in crappy weather.
Yeah.
Field was like mud at a certain point. Uh, just playing. Kickers weren't making kicks. Uh, yeah, it was terrible football. Pat Fryermuth, thank you for bestowing upon us the first tie of the season. I appreciate it. And who was the guy? Oh, was it DeAndre Swift for the Lions that just ran out of bounds on the last play of the game
Oh yeah,
instead of
yeah,
like
yeah.
I love
We'll
that.
take this tie. We'll take what we can get here in
Hey,
Detroit.
it's something to build on. It's not a loss. It's something to build on.
This is Dan Campbell's perfect plan. He said, guys, we're gonna lose the first 8, then the ninth game. There's 17 games. We have to tie that ninth game, so then we can go on an 8-game winning streak and finish a perfect 500. And we'll be building up. So next season we can go 17-0 and win the Super Bowl.
Yes. Yes. This is the start of Dan Campbell's magnum opus in Detroit. Yes.
Yeah. But besides that, no, I mean, Lions Steelers is great. It felt like two teams that I feel miserable anytime I have to watch, and they put it in the most miserable conditions possible. So it was a very enjoyable experience. I thought everything. I thought like sometimes you just got a setting for a game that feels right. It felt like those teams were meant to play in that environment, and that's
If
what I
only
loved.
if only it was on Thursday night, it would have been even better.
I want we haven't gotten like a prime time messy weather game in a while. All the prime time games in recent years feels like have been like really clean. Um Nothing too bad. I mean, Colts Niners was like rainy, but it's still warm weather rain, so that kind of makes it less interesting. Got to get that like crappy like freezing rain like it was in Pittsburgh on Sunday. Uh
Yeah.
Jaguars at Colts.
Are the Jags not as bad as we thought they were? Like they lost, but they kept it close. And
Mhm.
they might win this game if it isn't for a special teams touchdown by the Colts. If they don't block a punt, they might be able to pull this one out. Uh, but the Colts are winning against bad teams. That's what we expected them to. We don't think the Colts are a bad team. They just have a really, really tough schedule. And when you play against the Jags, you better beat the Jags. And it was funny because we're Bills fans going into the week against the Colts. I see a comparison of like Carson Wentz's stats, Josh Allen's stats. Carson Wentz has played an extra game, but similar statage going on there with Carson Wentz and Josh Allen, and he's thrown more, or his touchdown interception ratio is more efficient. Now, I'm not saying either of those guys are like the same player at all, but Carson Wentz is not playing as bad as I was thinking he was, and I think a lot of people think he was. But the Colts are probably going to get into the playoffs at a wild card, and they're probably going to give up a draft pick, or first round pick for Carson Wentz, or definitely now. So that Niners game that you just brought up, I remember like the first drive for the Colts. I texted you. I was like, "Yep, just bench Wentz, save the first round pick." But no, that seems like it's heading its way to Philly. And I mean, it's all right. You're gonna be back in the playoffs, and if the Colts just want to be the perennial holder of the seventh seed in the playoffs, I'm fine with that.
Yeah, well, I mean, you also bought way into that like one interception that he threw against the Niners that
He
everybody.
he had another one like 2 weeks ago that was like that too.
I know, but I mean,
He has some play in a respect to Josh Allen. He has some plays that are like exactly rookie Josh Allen plays where it's like I could make a play here. No, dude, a D tackle's helmet's going straight into your gut. You aren't making a play here. Just
well,
throw it out of bounds.
I mean, listen, most people like playmakers. Carson Wentz, he's a playmaker. Maybe for one, maybe for the wrong team, but he's a playmaker. Buccaneers have football team.
I should have gone with the football team. I should have gone with the football team. All all off season. I'm saying the Buccaneers are gonna lose one game, and it's gonna be this one. And I mean, they've already lost games going into this, but they lose this one, and I picked Tampa Bay on the week, which hurts me on the inside. But yeah, Tom Brady's weaknesses are bad QBs, man. Like he lost to Trevor Simeon, now Heineke. I mean, he lost to Stafford. And I don't want to say Stafford's a bad QB, but it seems like the theme was, especially with the game this week, was you could take the man out of Detroit, but you can't take Detroit out of the man. Uh so yeah, Brady did not play good. His turnovers killed him. And Bruce Arians' post game interview, they said like, do you think those interceptions were on Tom or the receivers?" Like, oh no, they were on Tom. Yeah, no, Tom played like crap. And I love Bruce Arians for that. But I know like his relationship with Tom, like that's not a bad thing. Like he's not calling him out. Well, he is calling him out in a sense, but not the way it would be if it was like a different coach that doesn't have that relationship with his players. Uh, yeah, this seems like the point of the season where a Tom Brady team just goes on a tear and doesn't lose another game until the Super Bowl, really. Like this seems like a turning point where Tom's like bashing heads together in the locker room, be like, "Get it together, guys.
It
We
ha-
just lost to Heineke."
it happened last year, so it's guaranteed to happen again this year. That's all
Yeah,
you're saying.
yeah,
Um, yeah, no, I don't. Like I said, this game would I just kept making the assumption that the Buccaneers would eventually come back, and they just didn't. So I don't even really know what happened. Um, just like I said with the Ravens earlier, this will be because the Bucks have lost to the Rams, good team, the Saints, who I don't know, at the very least the most confusing team in football. So you really can't put
divisional opponent,
put that.
divisional opponent.
Yeah, yeah. This one can be the Buccaneers' bad loss. Okay, every team's getting one in the longest season in NFL history. Everybody's getting their one bad loss. Here's Tampa Bay's. Let's 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 see where Tampa Bay heads from here, though. Oh, because it feels pretty weird. Actually, just getting to this point in the season and being like, oh, geez, we're halfway through the season, and it's looking like a lot more teams are going to be hovering around, like teams that like at the beginning of the year like considered to be very good teams are going to
Hmm.
be looking like they have maybe even 6 or 7 losses by the end of the season, which is just kind of crazy to think about. Um, yeah. So moving on, Browns at Patriots.
Yeah, what a slaughter that game was. You're lucky you got your switch in there for that one. Originally said it was going to be Cleveland, but do you think that even if they had Nick Chubb, this game's closer than what it was?
Baker went out again. I don't know. I really don't. I don't know. I mean, still. I mean, if Baker plays the whole game, I definitely don't think it's 45-7. But then if Nick Chubb is in the game, I don't know. It felt like with how that game was going, after at least after the first Cleveland drive, it felt like it was all Patriots. So I feel like the Patriots still probably would have won by a few scores, but not nearly as much as they did end up winning by. I don't know. It was a really good day for the Patriots, obviously, though, and I'm not sad to say that because like I said, these two teams are the two teams that I'm like before the season. I was like, I really like both these teams when I don't know, like higher on those teams than other people were, and I'm not scared to say that the Patriots are good because I was predicting them to be good. So
Yeah. Uh, the opening drives for both these teams, I think they realized like the weaknesses of both the teams, where it's like, they both have like a soft interior defensive line. Let's just run the ball straight into that interior defensive line, like the whole opening drive. And lucky for the New England Patriots, they drafted just the guy for that job. Bill Belichick having his best draft since 2001, and picking up Ramondre Stevenson, who dude's just a bowling ball of fury. I mean, yeah, you called this out. I mean, when I watched his tape, I had him up there in my rankings, but I had him listed as a fullback because that's what I saw him listed as. But you had him down as a running back, and you had him in your top three, right? He was number three.
Yeah, I
Yeah,
think so.
yeah.
Yeah. So
So
go to New England, go to Baltimore. He'll be great.
he goes to New England, and Damian Harris might have lost his job after a performance like that.
I wouldn't say it yet, but I also said the later we get into the year, the more likely it is that he starts getting more carries. And
Hmm.
mid-November now, so we'll see what happens when Damian Harrison gets healthy, right? I don't necessarily know why he's
He's in
not playing,
concussion
but
protocol right now. He might be back Thursday night, maybe not though. I think if he's not back Thursday night though, and Ramondre has another great game, he loses that job,
I mean probably,
or
but
at least
it's
becomes the.
committee, it's
Yeah,
committee
I know.
anyways there.
They always have like a lead guy that gets like two more touches than the other guys though. So,
Yeah, we'll see how it goes. I feel like for the playoffs, especially if they're playing cold
oh yeah,
weather games, I feel like it's got to be Ramondre. I'm the one thing I'm kind of salty about is I still feel like they told him to lose a little bit of weight because he was like 250 coming into the draft and he's only like 235 or something now. I don't actually know what he's like listed at on the Patriots roster or anything. He could be in the 220s for all I know now, but he's definitely not like as big of a boy anymore. Um,
mhm.
yeah. So that game's fun, and I'm excited to watch more of the Patriots and even still the Browns. But man, the Browns, like I said with the thing before about like potentially being halfway through the season for the Bucks and potentially looking at the Bucks and being like, geez, they could have 6-7 losses by the end of the year. Well, with where the Browns' record is at, that's even scarier because
Mhm.
the Browns got to start winning, say like 85% of the rest of their games to probably be looking at even like an opportunity in the playoffs. So that's pretty scary.
I don't even think that's possible though with the division they play in.
Exactly. So it's like I don't know. They may
AFC's
miss
been
entirely.
AFC's been wild though. They might have a chance. There might be two teams that get into the playoffs with like a slightly above 500-ish record.
Well, I think the AFC. I mean, I think this may be the year that we look at. I mean, with how it's trending, this is what I'll say. I don't want to predict anything because I've already made plenty of predictions that have been completely wrong. But with how it's trending, it literally looks like the 1 seed is probably gonna have like a 2 game advantage over like the 7 seed in the AFC right now. Like the 1 seed,
Mhm.
the 1 seed's gonna be a 12-win team, and the 7 seed is gonna be a 10-win team. That's what it feels like the AFC is gonna be at right now, and that's pretty crazy. Just with where we're at now, and the funny, the like best example of this is like where we're sitting, and we'll talk about this division more because we haven't even talked about any of these teams yet in the AFC West. But the fact that the Chiefs are back on top of the AFC West, just like that, is absolutely insane. Um, Falcons at Cowboys.
Yeah, Dallas last week or 2 weeks ago, played Denver. They got their bad loss in, and now they're like, all right, let's go hang 70 on the Falcons in this one, just because we can. And this gives me a lot of confidence for Dallas to like go on a deep playoff run. Just that, uh, like last week was a bad loss, but Denver's record doesn't reflect that. And I mean, whatever you want to say for that, Denver's a bad team. Uh, they play Atlanta. Atlanta's also a bad team, but they bounce back from that game from Denver and just go berserk on them. Dak looks great. I mean, I don't know if anyone's ever won comeback player of the year and MVP, but Dak might be able to do it. I'm not saying that he's like up really high up there in
They don't.
MVP right now,
They
but
don't. They
if
don't
he's
like to double down on the awards. Let's say that if the
He
if
gets MVP. He
he's
gets
not gonna.
MVP
Yeah, no,
after
he's not gonna get comeback player of the year if he
season
wins
ending. He
MVP.
doesn't get comeback player of the year. That'd be hilarious.
No, I seriously think that's what would happen. They don't give awards. They don't give two people like the same. They don't give the same person two awards. They just don't. I know it wouldn't
Uh,
make any sense, but yeah.
but Dak's playing at a high level. Run game for them's looking great. Trevon Diggs still getting an interception left, right, and center. And he also didn't give up that big of a play this week either. So if he can keep, interceptions up, big plays down, nothing's stopping Dallas. And they got a test this upcoming week, so it's gonna be interesting to see what they do.
Yeah. All I'll say about this game is that this game, I feel like this game is how I actually feel about both these teams. They both they both had some weirdness going on in the past few weeks with them, but this feels correct how the game should have went.
Yeah,
Panthers at Cardinals.
Cam's back, baby. Cam's back. The two league MVPs in PJ Walker and Cam Newton went toe to toe, and it seems like
Went
Cam's gonna come
toe-to-toe.
out.
They're on the same team, and they
Yeah,
went toe-to-toe.
they went toe to toe for the position of QB, and it seems like Cam's going to come out of that the victor. He's going to be the one that's getting the starting job there because I saw a report that Cam right now is being prepped to be the starting QB going into next week. So Sam Darnold is Dunzo in Carolina if Cam is in there. At least I'd assume. He looked great against the Cardinals. I'm not going to put too much weight on this game for the Cardinals because Colt McCoy was the QB, and Colt McCoy was the QB. If Kyler Murray's in there, I'm pretty sure the Cardinals win it. So,
Man,
I mean, it's nothing to get upset about, Cardinals fans. It's kind of like a whatever game. Colt McCoy won, you won. He's gonna lose, you won. It's whatever.
it's just so weird because last week we have Colt McCoy play the Niners, who it's just once again this like weekly shift, just completely in opinions of teams. How did we feel about Carolina a week ago? How did we feel about Arizona a week ago with Colt McCoy? How did we feel about San Francisco a week ago? I think every single one of those just got flipped on its head in like
Oh
one
yeah.
week, which is like
Oh yeah.
that's pretty strange. So we did just watch Colt McCoy last week and the other players on that Cardinals team still take it to a Niners team that this week looked sort of more like the Niners that we expected to come out and see this year. Still questioning the Niners scheme slightly, but we'll get back to that. So seeing the Panthers actually like beat them by as much as they did was surprising to me. It could have been the fact that they were able to get up early and just a few wrinkles with the Cam Newton game plan that they probably didn't expect him to even get on the field for, threw him off. But they actually had to get down into the red zone before they could use Cam Newton. 9 plays isn't that many, and allowing that to happen to you is still pretty wild in my opinion. So great job, Carolina. Don't want to kill the Cardinals yet for losing with their backup quarterback and some backups at other positions, but it's definitely an interesting spot. And now I don't know why. I was just figuring before that I really didn't even realize 2 weeks ago that Kyler wasn't going to play against the Niners, and now I'm like, when is he coming back? Because I feel like nobody's talking about it, and I really don't know like how long this is going to drag out for.
Yeah.
I'm hoping
His
it's this week.
his injuries has been treated as like being very minor, but at the same time, he might not play for 3 weeks. So, and he was like an MVP front runner
Yeah,
before he got hurt, and now I think this completely removes him from the conversation. If you don't play 3 games, it's kind of hard to win MVP at that point.
no, it's a mess. I said Kyler Murray's my MVP favorite until he gets injured. He got injured. Yeah, I guess that's everything on that game. Let's see if the Panthers can continue to really get themselves. Let's see how much Cam Newton can rally this locker room, and really, if there was one time that you finally should have said that stupid line that you keep using for the Kurt Warner situation, maybe it's possibly
Oh,
this one because Cam Newton is one of the most influential
well,
people
I
in
I was
all of the NFL, like like free market at this time in terms of who were free agents last week in terms of being able to like pull together a locker room.
I was expecting Cam to not even suit up for this game.
I know.
Like I thought it was going to be PJ Walker and now Matt Barkley, who I thought was the ghost of Jake Delhomme on the sideline wearing 17 there. I was like,
That's a
what's going
beautiful
on here?
reference. I love that. That's amazing.
Uh,
Thank you.
but but Cam suited up. But yeah, now I will say it. This team will rally around Cam Newton, and we will win football games.
Uh and once again, our favorite teams to talk about each week of the season now. The Minnesota Vikings and LA Chargers matched up this week.
This hurts me more than the game of the year loss. This hurts me more than that. Minnesota, I mean, Minnesota's staying on this trend of keeping every game a one-score game. Every game has to be a one-score game. They refuse for it to be any different. Every game has to be close. Yeah, they have Dalvin Cook and the Chargers have a crappy run defense. That's what I'm really gonna chalk it up to. And also Justin Hurt. Like, I hate to do this because it seems like such a cop out, but for the Chargers, it does seem that feel that way. Justin Herbert didn't do enough for this team to win because he is the whole team. So if the Chargers lose, it's like 25% on the defense for not being able to stop the run, and then 75% on Justin Herbert for not being able to score enough points.
So is there any point for this Chargers team where you will just like say, okay, you were right to me? Will you say that to me or just no?
Let me see what I predicted for next week. No.
Why? Wait. Okay. I don't know off the top of my head who they play next week. I mean, we'll get to it in tomorrow's episode. But why, like, everything I've said about the Chargers team is still the same. It's like, they're a good team, and I think when they play teams that can run the ball well, they're going to do poorly. I don't know what I've said that you're just going to still be able to disagree with.
You might have been right for the first half of the season. But like you said with the Ravens, they still have a whole half a season to figure out this weakness and address it and get better at it.
They do. Now, the problem is I've pointed it out since before the season even started. So actually, they've had a whole off season, a whole half of a season already. And yes, they will have a whole second half of the season to do this as well. But why have they not figured it out yet?
So they don't have the personnel on the roster yet.
Oh, okay. Well, then tell me what additions they're gonna. No, don't tell me. I just can't wait to see what additions they make in the second half of the season.
Addition by subtraction, because I think Joey Bosa isn't gonna play this next week because I think he's got COVID. So
great.
You know, one step forward, one step backwards, 3 steps forwards. You know, that kind of plan. Got to roll with the punches.
And Minnesota, Justin Jefferson got going too. That's good.
Yes.
Yeah, feel like that's it. Seahawks at Packers. Everything I took away from this game is that it was miserable.
Yeah, miserable. Russ was playing still hurt, it seemed. Like, he was rehabbing his finger for 19 hours a day. Maybe he should have made it 20. Like, he did not look good. It looked like they rushed him back to play. DK got frustrated and got himself ejected because he said in his post-game press conference, like, I was done losing. So he just got thrown out. So he started a fight so he could get thrown. He didn't say that, but that's how I interpret it. He's like, I'm sick and tired of losing. I'm just going to get tossed. So that's how that went down. Rodgers still looked good coming back from not playing last week. Yeah, I mean, it was a bad game. Aaron Jones got hurt, and then
A.J. Dillon.
AJ Dillon. Geez, I was gonna call him Andre Dillard. I'm like, that's an offensive lineman. I was blanking on his name. Yeah, AJ Dillon. I don't know. Like, I don't know why they paid Aaron Jones this offseason. I didn't like it when they first did it, and now seeing AJ Dillon just go off like that, it's like, yeah, you paid a running back a lot of money for you to have a guy behind him that might be better than him.
Yeah, well, I mean, that's always the trouble with running backs. I don't know. He's been very productive for them still. I can't say
Mhm.
that it's terrible. I'd
Oh
say
yeah, I'm not.
Ezekiel Elliott's situation still looks much worse than anything the Packers have done at their running back room.
He's part of the best dual backfield that's being paid X amount of money, but only like 5 million of that is Tony Pollard. The rest of it's Zeke.
Yep, and this game just comes down to another week where I want to question the winningness of the Packers. Just getting lucky and having Russell Wilson be about as terrible of a version as Russell Wilson can possibly be. And why really I think the thing that I should point out more than anything with the Packers is not that like I actually think they're a bad team. It's just I never like in like the past 5, maybe even longer years, like I just haven't seen them as a Super Bowl team because just I don't know why. It just doesn't feel right. And it's like they still have one of the best rosters in the NFL, and I just still don't want to pick them to be a Super Bowl team. Like I don't expect them to win a Super Bowl or even really make it.
Yeah, it's weird. The Packers are the 1 seed in the NFC right now.
And
That's just weird to think about.
it's still very much in the air, up in the air, questioning them and what's going to happen with them. And they could still be the 1 seed, and I still don't know how confident I'd be with that.
Hmm.
Eagles at Broncos.
Yeah, this was my kind of toss-up game where I was like, I'll just go with the home team because both these teams aren't that great. And then Philly just dominated that game, and it's a weird thing that Philly does, where it's like they play bad teams like Detroit, like Denver, and then just crush them. So they're not bad. Philly's not a bad team because they could just take care of business of other bad teams, but they're not good either because they struggle and can't really win against good teams.
I feel like for whatever reason, it's like you're right. Like I feel like the general consensus is it's pretty hard to pinpoint where Philly is exactly. But since after week one, I needed to see week one first. But I think after week one, I've only got like one of Philly's games wrong.
Hmm.
So I don't know why, but for some reason I haven't had as much trouble as other people seemingly have had figuring out where the Eagles stand.
No, and I've had confidence in them. I go with them usually when they're playing against like some mediocre, like mid-level opponent, and usually I'm wrong with that because I don't have the spidey sense for Philly like you do. But yeah, they're like hovering around that mid-range where the NFC's too good for them to sneak in. And I don't think that they can play at like the level that they need to get enough wins to get in, but they're the number 2 team in the NFC East right now.
Hmm.
So that's something, which I mean, that it's something. And then Denver, yikes, man, you really tricked me. You tricked me. I I saw that Dallas game and I was like, ooh, they might have figured it out. They might have figured something out here. No, no,
Gotta wipe
Vic,
away.
yeah, Vic Fangio and his whole
No.
staff is just old.
It was just the
And
red
Pat Schumer,
stripes.
yeah, yeah,
Just the
red,
red
white, and blue.
stripes of
Yeah, the
Dallas.
electrical tape on the helmets for the Cowboys, but yeah, Pat Schumer is like the worst offensive coordinator in the entire league. Like yeah, he has Teddy Bridgewater. I think you could put Teddy Bridgewater in like almost any scheme, and it's like he's not gonna play terrible. Like he's not gonna force a bunch of balls. Not he's Teddy Bridgewater, and you're somehow like setting Teddy Bridgewater up to like throw turnovers. It's weird.
I just love how many guys at the quarterback position this year, it feels like I've learned about how much they are actually invested into the sport. As in like not the opposite way of like guys are really invested or aren't. Like I've learned sorry, are really invested as opposed to them not really being invested. I feel like I've learned about a lot of NFL quarterbacks who even though have this job that seemingly so many guys would want and would be like so happy to have and just want to like if they got it do anything to like not lose it and then you just see stuff like Sunday where Darius Slay just gets to walk by Teddy Bridgewater
I don't blame
for
Teddy
free.
for that. I don't blame him for that.
I mean, you can say that, but there's no way if I have that job in the NFL, um, even even if you want to like say like my coaches told me to do everything to stay healthy, there's no way that I'm just going to be able to watch him walk in front of me and not even at least going to like put my body down like low at his legs to try to take him out or something.
I think that more than uh, m- rather than say what it says about Teddy's views of being a QB, I think it just shows how secure he feels at the job. Where it's like Drew Lock ain't getting this job. It don't matter what I do. Drew Lock isn't beating me. Drew Lock
Well,
isn't taking this job. It doesn't matter.
we'll have to keep an eye on that job, especially if Denver slides any further from the point they're at currently. Kansas
Yeah,
City,
yeah, that's some big if there. If Denver keeps playing bad.
well, I mean, they're sitting around 500 right now, so we'll have to see because somehow they've gotten to this point with a 500 record, and I don't think either of us would have said that they would be around 500 at this point in the season.
Oh no.
Kansas City at Las Vegas.
Yeah, Patrick Mahomes is back, kind of maybe. I don't know. He played his best game of the season, and I like it's we or you mainly have been saying it all season where it's like waiting for Kansas City just to get back to normal. And now it's like, okay, they're back to normal now, but is this gonna stay? And more likely than not, I'm thinking it does. I'm thinking it sticks, but at the same time, I can't even say it's the Raiders. I can't even say, oh, it's the Raiders. And like as a joke that they beat him. Because the Raiders have been good. Uh they were not good that game though. They brought in Deshaun Jackson to do what Henry Ruggs did, and they don't even use Deshaun Jackson at all.
You have to
It's
be
like
more specific about what Henry Ruggs did because
oh,
he
run
did some
fast. Run
bad
fast.
stuff now.
Run
Okay.
fast.
Okay.
Sorry.
Okay. Not the other
Run
stuff.
fast.
Not the other
No.
stuff. Got it.
And uh they they just don't use him at all, like vertically in the pass game. Like Derek Carr doesn't even look his way. It seems like they've stopped the whole forcing it to Darren Waller too, which I mean, as unsustainable as that won them like 3 games to start the season, just forcing the ball to Darren Waller every play. And they've kind of gone away from that. They don't use the run game efficiently that much either. I don't know what's gotten into the Raiders. I don't know if yeah, I don't know if the new coach, like, I don't think John Gruden's a good coach, but I don't know if this new coach is doing something. Like, obviously, he's doing something a little bit different, but I don't know what's going on there. That like this slip is happening because I thought they would have kept it close with KC, and they didn't.
Yeah, no, I mean I picked them to win, so obviously I thought they were going to. I mean I'm just wondering now still like has I don't know. Has it gotten to the point now where it's like too much stuff has happened this season for them to be able to overcome all of it? Like I did think that they could get over the John Gruden stuff, and I thought a week after the Henry Ruggs incident, along with now like Damon Arnett too and all that, I thought okay they can get back to it. It may just be too much for them now, and I wouldn't be surprised to see them continue sliding. On the other hand, I have been saying, like you said, that Kansas City will come back. Now the question is this is this the beginning, and one of these trends will continue. I guarantee that one of them. Now the question is, will both? Will this be the beginning of Kansas City starting to get hot to close the season, or will this be the beginning of the end to the Raiders season because they're not going to be able to come back from everything that's happened in season for them
Mm-hmm.
this season. And right now I'm leaning towards it being both of them, but one of them could break the trend still. But I'm guaranteeing one of them is going to stick. I just don't know which one it is.
Mm-hmm.
I guess if I had to pick, just because I want to be positive, I'm going to say it's Kansas City winning. But right now, it feels like those are both going to continue. Um, and then we had our Monday night game for the week that really, I don't know, surprised me. But Rams at 49ers.
Yeah, it was shocking, but like you said earlier, this is like the San Fran team that we pictured going into the season of It's going to be a stout defense that's going to force turnovers, and then the offense is going to be able to just run the ball down your throat and then get easy play action pass plays off to Kittle. And Deebo Samuel is just an all around weapon. Like I couldn't have predicted him just having the breakout year that he's had, but he's still I shouldn't say guaranteed, but he's definitely up there in like top 5, if not top 3 in receiving yards.
Well, just talk about not all purpose, because all purpose includes like kick and punt return yardage. I
Yeah,
think just offensive yards. Yeah, he's
scrimmage yards. Yeah,
Yeah.
he's up there. Uh, he's playing really well. I love what Shanahan's doing with him. The run game looks great, and they aren't even using Trey Sermon, which I like. I'm not gonna knock him too much on that because Trey Sermon hasn't looked excellent in the games he's played in, but the running backs that they're bringing out there to play, they're balling when they get the opportunities, especially Deebo. Well, not that Deebo's a running back, but Deebo's balling when he's out there and gets the opportunity to make plays. And Kittle is like healthy now and just making some big grabs and like sunning guys in the end zone, which I missed so much to see that first grab of his where he just jumped over dudes, plucked it right out of the air. It's like NFL's a better place for George
Yeah.
Kittle's healthy.
Yeah, completely. Now I don't know if I should be doing this before we've even reached our 100th episode of the show, because I don't think that this is a reference you should necessarily make too often. But the argument I would make with the 49ers scheme, unlike any other scheme, is the way it works is basically that you don't need a running back that has more than two skills, really. Okay, they're
Mm-hmm.
fast and they don't fumble the ball all the time. That's basically all you need in a 49ers running back, which is really funny, but and that's especially so if they can get their pass game going right. So I mean the thing that I'll say that I didn't know I'd do in this before the 100th episode has even come around is make a second Willie Parker reference, and just say that he could be a potential MVP candidate if he was playing now with Kyle Shanahan in this offense. But it's still a little concerning seeing like people brought up like the passing charts after the games and just how every single completion the Niners had, even though they didn't throw the ball a ton, which if they don't need to throw the ball a ton, that's huge talking about this team's success and basically what we thought they'd be able to do all
Mm-hmm.
season. But when they do need to throw the ball, it's a little scary that they basically seemingly can only throw the ball short and over the middle. If guys can catch the ball and run thereafter, being it Debo or being it Kittle, which Kittle is a huge part of it, considering how long he's been out and like how they seemingly are so much better when he's on the field. Crazy to see a tight end have such a big impact for his team. I mean, we're talking like I mean I don't know. I'd say he makes like in terms of over the course of a full season, he could impact like the final outcome of like 6 games in a year, which is crazy at the tight end position. But yeah, no, just where this offense is, I want to keep them. I want to see them continue their success with the run game, which I think they can continue. But then branching off of it when they need to throw the ball, how can they build on that? Because still, I don't know what types of defenses people are going to try to run against them when they get to need to throw situations. But
Mm-hmm.
I feel like it's pretty clear the areas that you have to defend against them, and how are they going to be able to combat that with the system they run and the players they have.
Yeah, and just looking at the Rams right now after all that, Stafford back-to-back bad primetime games. I don't think Stafford's bad, but he has not looked good in either of these past 2 games he's played in. A lot of sloppy mistakes. I don't know if that first turnover that first pick that he threw was just him forcing the ball to Odell because he feels like he has to. Because if that's the case, if he feels like he has to force the ball to Odell, ugh, it might end up like how it ended up with Baker, where Baker looked really bad throwing the ball to Odell purely because he felt like he had to force it there. Uh, and that's not how it should work. You should go to the guy that's open.
Yeah.
So I like with the Cleveland thing, I don't think it was an Odell problem. I don't think it was a Baker problem. I think it was just like both guys not meshing well and Baker having to satisfy OBJ, but OBJ having to do a bunch of other stuff. That might be the same case here. I don't know. Hopefully Stafford can bounce back because I really want to see him go on a run in the playoffs because he never had the chance to. But I mean,
Yeah. No. First off, the thing with Odell, that's terrifying to see hints of the Cleveland situation already seemingly to get into the fold of this, and it's
mhm.
less than a week he's been with the team. Also, him accompanying Von Miller. If you only look at huge social media outlets that cover the NFL, oh my gosh, this is huge. I think for both of us, we were much more ready to be like, okay, it may improve them slightly, but I really don't think it's as big of a deal as people are making out of it. Um, and the other thing is what I have to say about specifically the receiver, not touching on Von Miller right now, but the addition of Odell immediately coinciding with the ACL tear of Robert Woods. I cannot imagine that there's any Rams fan or really anyone that follows the NFL closely that thinks that getting Odell at this point is an upgrade from just having a healthy Robert Woods still be on the team. I don't think
Mhm.
that's a trade-off anybody would have wanted. I realize it's not actually anything that affected the opposite, and I think you would rather have Odell once Robert Woods is injured than not have Odell. But man, the Rams may be worse at this point than they were 2 weeks ago, even though they acquired two players. Just because I really do believe the caliber of Robert Woods and what he brought to that offense was such a huge thing for those guys.
Yeah, and this is just for me to get my knock on Jalen Ramsey. Deebo Samuel's the only good receiver on the Niners. I think that's fair to say. Why is Jalen Ramsey not following him the whole game? Even when he's lining up in the backfield. Why aren't you following him? I I don't get that. I don't get that.
Interesting. Um, one of the
Because
things,
it's not
one
like Ramsey was guarding Kittle in that. It's not like
well,
he was covering Kittle.
one of the things that Chris Sims was like really mad about with this game was like it may have been Mike Florio, but I think it was Chris Sims that was talking with him about it. He was just really upset at the fact that like yeah, we have Jalen Ramsey as like the Rams, and the Rams are like yeah, we're still gonna run a ton of zone coverage, and it's like okay, well, if you're going to run a ton of zone coverage, why are you bothering to pay a corner that much? And I tend to
Mhm.
agree with that sentiment. Like, if you're going to pay your corners a ton of money, like, say, Baltimore, not specifically this year, but like normally, and have some guys like Marlon Humphrey and Marcus Peters on the outside, you better be running man to man because you're just wasting talent if you're going to be consistently running zone. And it seemed like, from everything I saw in terms of the analytics Monday night, it was them running a ton of zone, which you don't like to see when you pay a
Yeah.
guy to do what Jalen Ramsey is supposed to be doing.
hmm Yeah. But they're missing Brandon Staley. That's what it is.
Yeah, you're right. I guess you're right. Um, so how'd you end up doing this week? I have to say, even though it felt like throughout our conversation, I really got to like write home about how I did like in predicting how some of these teams would do this season. I had an awful week.
Yeah, I did too. I went 5-8-1.
Oh, jeez. Okay, you actually did worse than me. How'd you do in your upsets?
My upsets, I went 0-2-1.
And lock? Who'd you lock?
I locked the
Yeah,
Patriots
you
to beat the
locked in New
Browns.
England. Good luck, because I went 6-7-1 for all the games. I went 2-3 for my upset picks, and I lost my lock because I locked the Rams. Yeah,
Yeah,
that
yeah, and
wasn't wasn't even close.
you thought you were gonna overtake me in the locks last week. Let's go,
I didn't
let's
say
go.
that. I just said
Oh
that.
yeah, you
I
did. Oh
no
yeah,
no
you
no no
did.
no no. What I said was I said I can't believe you're locking New England against a team like this. Like But that was before I knew Nick Chubb was going to be out, and then also you add on to the fact that Baker leaves the game during the game. That doesn't help either.
And you have Mac 10 under center.
Well, yeah, of course. Yeah. I hate when you're trying to argue with me and you're literally just bringing up things that like I am super positive about. Like, yeah, yes, I have been super high on Mac Jones since the start of this offseason. So sure, tell me about Mac Jones being good. All right, fair, whatever. You all set?
Yeah, I think we can cut this here.